In this video, we're looking at operations with vectors, adding and subtracting vectors, as well as multiplying a vector by a scalar. So this question reads, given the vectors p, which is defined with components -4 and -5, and vector q, defined with components -7 and 2, determine the value of a. So we have the first vector, which is 3p minus 2q. And so what we're going to do, recognize that the 3 is a scalar multiplying the vector p minus the scalar 2 multiplying the vector q. So let's look at how we deal with both subtraction and multiplication of scalar. All right, so 3 times the vector p. So what we'll do, we'll put brackets there, and we'll put the components -4, -5. So remember, the vector p is defined with components -4, 5, -5, and that's what we put here to replace p. We're going to replace the q as well with what is defined as -7, 2. And then we're going to multiply each component of the vector by 3. So the long way would be to actually put -4 times 3, then -5 times 3 as well. So we basically distribute the 3 to each component in the bracket. Minus, and then we're going to say, all right, 2 times -7. So we're going to have 2 times -7, and then 2 times 2. The order of operation doesn't really matter. All right, next we're gonna have a -12, -15, minus -14, and 4. Now the final solution will be to subtract the corresponding components. So we have -12 minus -14, and the component below we have -15 minus the corresponding component of 4. And so we know that -12 subtract negative. When we subtract negative, this gives us a plus. So that's -12 plus 14. What would that be? The same thing as saying 14 minus 12. Put in the 14 in front of the -12. And so that's going to give us 2. And -15 minus 4. If we're subtracting 4 from -15, we get more negatives. So this will give us -19. And this will be the solution for part A. For part B, again, we're going to add the two vectors, p and q. And so we're going to utilize their components. Okay, this should be -7. And when we're adding two vectors, we add the corresponding components. So that's -4 plus -7. Let's be -5 plus 2. And so adding a negative is going to give us a negative. And we say -4 minus 7. Of course, -4 minus 7. We're subtracting 7 from a negative number, so we get more negatives. That's -11. And we're adding 2 to -5, so that's going to decrease the negatives by 2, so that should be -3. In part C, we're going to subtract the two vectors. So write the component form for both vectors. And we're going to subtract corresponding components. So it's -4 minus -7 and -5 minus 2. Now when we subtract negative, we get positive. So that's going to be -4 plus 7. And what's -4 plus 7? We're adding to a negative number, so that's going to decrease the negatives, and that will give us +3. Okay, or we can think of it as a 7 going front, which is positive. The -4 goes after, so we're saying 7 minus 4, which is 3. Okay, -5 minus 2. We're subtracting 2 from a negative number that's going to decrease the number, so get more negative, so it's -7. But remember the rules, when the signs are the same, we add and keep the sign. When the signs are different, we subtract, keep the sign of the number that we have more of, the sign that we have more of. We have more positives than negative. And so this will be the solution for P minus Q. This will be the solution for P plus Q. And this will be the solution for 3P minus 2Q. Hope that was helpful.